My Sri Lankan brothers and sisters, do you remember a time when a father's greatest fear was if his children's school would be attacked? When a wife's greatest fear was if the bus her husband rode home on every day after work would be bombed? How about a time when every new hello may have never taken place and every goodbye might have been the last? The 18th of May is, to us Sri Lankans, perhaps as historic and significant as our Independence Day. Yet, because of the recent events, bombings and mob attacks, instead of a day of celebration, we have been called upon for a day of reflection. So I would like to take a moment to reflect on some of the events that took place recently and some events that took place a long time ago, quite similar to what happened. The 18th of May 2009 is declared to be the official end of the Civil War of Sri Lanka. Do you recall the official date of its beginning? It's the 23rd of July, 1983, a month that led us into such a dark age that is known as Black July. On that day, the LTTE, which was just a small military group among many other military groups at the time, ambushed and killed a dozen Sri Lankan Sinhalese soldiers and one officer just outside of Tirunelveli. In retaliation, riots broke out the next day, leading to the senseless attacks on innocent Tamils throughout the nation. The result? Up to 3,000 lives lost, over 5,000 shops vandalized, over 8,000 homes destroyed, and over 150,000 innocent men, women, and children left homeless. The economic cost to Sri Lanka is estimated to be in the vicinity of $300 million. That's just the short-term result. The long-term result was the migration of many Tamils outside of Sri Lanka, some joining with the LTTE, the demand for a separate state, and the commencement of a 26-year-long war that resulted in the loss of 100,000 plus lives and over $200 billion to the Sri Lankan economy. Soon after the end of the war, we've had to borrow money for the construction of roads, highways, buildings, ports, airports, and other infrastructure and projects. Today, we're struggling to pay some of that back, and it's costing us some of our lands as collateral. But the amount we desperately needed for reconstruction is less than 5% of what we could have saved had we not been at war. So, was it worth it? Obviously not. Just take a look at the cost in terms of human life, freedom, and our economy. So we would have to be foolish to let something like that happen again, right? Unfortunately, my friends, those of us who forget our history are doomed to repeat it. So, on the 10th anniversary of establishing peace, I want to call upon all Sri Lankans to come together, regardless of race or religion, in order to release our country from its current state, to rebuild our relationships with each other, and to restore our economy. Don't forget, the enemy was never inside Sri Lanka. They were outside Sri Lanka, influencing Sri Lankans inside and using them as pawns to do their work. That enemy is still out there. And all of our rioting and fighting have done absolutely nothing to even put a scratch on them. Instead, they're patiently waiting and watching to divide and conquer us. And if we fight amongst ourselves, we're doing half of their work for them. It has happened throughout history over and over again. But I say, let history repeat itself somewhere else. We simply cannot afford to let it repeat itself in Sri Lanka. So on this day, let us reflect on our history, learn from our mistakes, become triumphant products of our past instead of prisoners of it. Let's come together, let's crush this enemy, and let's win this war before it begins.